we're going to be starting to learn how to make return air pans. Return air pans come in a couple of them categories. Okay, you have the width, you have the depth, and you have the height. So this pan and everything is 14.5 by 20.5, 3.5 inches tall with a 1-inch flange. So this is a finished product and everything that you put in the ceiling, but all boxes are made in the same pretense. So this is the finished product. This is the intermediate stage product where you have the Pittsburgh side, the dimensions, the length, and then we'll make sides for it. But we're going to start from the beginning, and we're going to make a 20.25 by 20.25 return air pan. So like I said, I make the pans a 1/4 inch bigger if it's going to take a filter grill, and the exact same size it needs to be if it has a regular flat grill. So I always just write down 20.25 by 20.25 by 3.5 inch deep pan. When I make the pan, the first thing to do is, if you look, that's called a Pittsburgh seam on this side and that side. So this pan will be 20.25 this direction, and it has a 1-inch Pittsburgh here and a 1-inch that. So if you add them together, it comes to a total of 22.25 inches. So that'll be my cut metal. So I'll set this machine over here for 22.25 inches. And once I set it for 22.25 inches, I will run this through this machine. And I'll start the layout. So my layout is going to have this 1-inch flange here, 3.5 inches deep, 20.25. So when I lay it out, it'll be 4.5 inches to allow for the flange, 20.25, and then 4.5 inches. And then what we'll do is we'll square it off. And once you square the whole piece off,
I had an at the install, and then I had an at the service call after the install, and I had an my bed in the morning. I was like, oh man, this is 2 hours. Ran that service call, ran the back home, ran another service call.
So that's 4.5 inches,
Ran another service call, ran back home.
20.25, and 4.5 inches. And then we'll cut that off, and we'll notch that for the Pittsburgh. So we'll cut the length. And we'll notch this 1 inch for the flange. So we'll set this for 1 inch marks. On both sides, and we'll notch those corners completely out. So we'll go 1 inch deep for the Pittsburgh by 1 inch, and then 1 inch deep for the V notch. And we do the opposite side. And we'll run this side through the Pittsburgh machine. So this side and this side will run through the Pittsburgh machine. That'll come over here for this. On this machine, what we do is so important to make sure that the metal stays square before it goes in there. So you start the machine, same thing, you make sure it's clear on the back side of the machine. You start it, make sure it stays square, just hold it so it stays tight against this back side. Pittsburgh. That's the one side of everything. And what we gotta do is we have a 1-inch flange on this right here. So we will flip it over and mark for that 1-inch flange. Flip it over, mark that 1-inch flange out. Now that our flange is marked out, we're sticking the brake. Do it all the way in the brake first, and you work your way out of the brake. So we stick it all the way in our first bend at our 4.5 inch mark. Bend at 90 degrees. Our second bend is at the other 4.5 inch mark. Bend that 90 degrees. Then we'll bend our flanges last. That's that 1-inch flange that we put on it. 1-inch flange is here. Square that up. At 90 degrees. And same thing with the opposite side. And at 90 degrees. And this part of the box is called the wrapper. Okay. So this will wrap around this, and then this dimension is 20 1/4. We have to have, this is the female version. We have to make the male version, which goes on to the two sides. So this is 20 1/4. So we allow a 1/4 inch here and a 1/4 inch there. So 20 1/4 plus a 1/4 plus another 1/4 is 20 3/4. So this dimension will be 20 3/4. So that's 20 3/4 cut for middle. And then the depth, this is 4.5 inches plus adding a 1/4. So 4.5 plus 1/4 is 4 3/4. So we're gonna cut a piece of metal 4 3/4 by 20 3/4. That's our cut piece of metal. So we take that raw piece of metal that I've already cut, okay, and I'm going to notch it with a 1-inch flange on one side. So the mark right there, I mark it 1 inch. On this side, I mark it 1/4 inch. So 1 inch by 1/4 inch. And I'll notch that completely out. And then we'll bend that up. So it's 1/4 inch by 1/4 inch. And 1 inch by 1/4 inch. And then once I get that, I bend my 1-inch flange first like this. And these are my sides, so I'll take both these sides. Now I'll bend a 1/4 inch on this machine. So that goes in the slot over here. So this slides right in the slot. And I'll bend that 1/4 inch up. Do the opposite side. Bend that 1/4 inch up. I don't want that side to get mashed, so watch what I do. I take this and I flatten it out a little bit. So watch when I stick this back in the machine and I bend it up, it doesn't mash it. I'll do the same thing with this one. I'll bend 1/4 inch up. 1/4 inch up. And see that flange right there? I'll flatten it out a little bit. Stick it back in. And if you look, see this edge right here? This is important, most people don't realize. That edge, watch when I bend it up. See how it's sticking off the edge of the side so it doesn't get mashed? So that's the reason why I leave a little bit of overhang. And once you already bent this once, metal has a memory. So you just take and you bend it flat again. So see how that's sticking out? We just straighten it back out. And like this one, so it's bent a little bit, watch. Just straighten it back out. And all you gotta do now is beat it together. So you take this side here. This is the female side of the Pittsburgh. You open it up with your things, and you just start on one corner. this, and you come down to the corner. That's one side of the box. Flip it over. Same thing. Make sure you put your corner in first. Tap it down. To the opposite side. And when you finish beating it together, you want the Pittsburgh to look like that, nice and smooth. So this is going to get noisy, but you'll take this machine over here. This machine is called an air hammer. And you're going to take the air hammer and finish flattening it down. So what you do is you turn the air hammer on, you put your air protection on. And that's the rough side before you beat the Pittsburgh down. See how rough and uneven it is? And this is after you beat it down with the air hammer, so it comes out nice and smooth. And that is your finished product. So this finishes up as a 20 1/4 by 20 1/4 return air pan with a 1-inch flange, 3.5 inches deep. And all you do is change your dimensions depending on what size box you want to make. If it's 10 by 10, 20 by 20, you just remember add an inch on each side for the Pittsburgh, and then you make the Pittsburgh side first, and then you make the female side, and then you'll make the male side second and everything. Beat it together into the Pittsburgh, and it's a nice airtight seal.